In today's painting a day, I'll be doing this beautiful fall scene of a truck driving down a road. So get your stuff ready. We have acrylic paint here in artist grade, and we'll be using cerulean blue, titanium white, yellow ochre, and black, a little bit of sap green, and possibly buff. We'll see as we go. So I'm just using this 5x5 board canvas, and I'm always starting with the background first. And I have a cerulean blue mixed with a little titanium white, and just very quickly putting on a very generic sky, I guess you could say. We'll put some clouds in later. So I'm just putting in a base coat of the kind of medium colors that are in this background. So the medium value of a road and the little ditch and field beside it will have this kind of a muddy green color. We'll add other colors on top of this, so you really don't need to be too specific on the color. Just something that's similar to what you're wanting to use in this picture. So I am going to use this transfer paper to put this onto my canvas. I just don't want to have to bother trying to figure out all the angles and everything on this truck, so it's a whole lot easier just to trace it onto your canvas. And there is a printable for you if you would like to paint this with me. You can always stop the video as I paint through this and catch up, and then continue on after. So there it is. It's very light, it's not too dark. But it's a good idea to figure out where your main focal points are and put those in, just to give you a better idea where to place trees or poles, that type of thing. So I'm using a angled brush here. It's an angled flat, and I like to use the point of it, and you can lightly touch or press down and make a bigger mark. And I basically just dab for my foliage. You can also use a sea sponge or something to that effect, and just lightly touch your canvas with it. And you can also mix the colors on your sponge, which gives it kind of an interesting look. So there's going to be a lot of busyness, I guess you could say, in the fields, because it's an overgrown kind of backwoods type of look to it. The leaves are starting to fall, and the grass is starting to die off, and everything's overgrown. So this is a really easy one for a beginner to try. There's really no way you can mess up the foliage on this. The more you put on, the better it looks. And with these small canvases, if you find that you really do not like it and you don't want to try and fix it, you can always just get your gesso out and put a couple coats of gesso over it and try it again. You don't have to throw your canvas out or anything, just reuse it. So I hope you're going to try this challenge with Lena and I, and see what kind of success you find in doing a painting a day. And it can be watercolor too. It doesn't have to be what we're doing, but as long as you're painting every day. And you can use the reference photos that I have if you want, if you're kind of unsure what to paint. And it can be painted in anything, basically. Just watercolor, you could paint any of these in watercolor, or pastels, or oil. I just leave it up to you, and just have fun with it and experiment on your paintings. This is how we learn and grow as an artist, by giving us the right to play, to experiment, and to learn, and just have fun and not worry about if it doesn't work out. That's how we learn. That's how we develop our style and grow as an artist. So I'm just putting in like shadows. There's some rocks in the along the side of the road here. Probably a little bit damp, so the ground would be darker. And there is a little house I kind of tucked in there, little cabin type of thing, but it's kind of hard to see afterwards because I put so much foliage in it from the trees. But yeah, I like it. I think it turned out cool. And everybody else's will be different too, because you can take away trees, you can add more trees, you could do it more for spring, summer, you know, whatever, winter you could even do. Just change the colors up, that's all. So really, this would be kind of a cool idea, is you could use this reference and do 4 seasons. So fall, summer, you know, the winter, spring. You could add blossoms for spring, or no leaves for the winter. Whatever part of the world you're in, your landscape would look different. Maybe a lot of rain. You could put rainy puddles in. I think that would be cool. It would be a really great learning study to use that one painting reference. I really like that idea. I might just do that. It would be very interesting to see the differences that you could get. So the one main topic would be the road and the truck. So we would keep that in, but just a different scenery around it. More leaves, less leaves, flowers, snow, that type of thing. So again, the same thing, very simple. Just dab, 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 with different colors of kind of a yellows and peachy colors, the colors of whatever fall is in your area. So in my area we have a lot of maple trees, beautiful colored leaves in the fall here, and it can range anywhere from, you know, some stay green, some go into almost brilliant fuchsia pinks, some more yellow, and so it's a real vast color combination in the fall here. So this is going to be a dirt road, gravel road, and there'd be kind of ruts in the road from the cars driving down that one area. Their tires would eventually leave kind of a rut in the road. So it'd be a little bit shadowed, and then if it's wet too, you could actually add reflection from the sky to make a puddle. Or just leave it. If you want, you could make it into a paved road and just put a a center line in. Now I've switched to, this is a really old paintbrush. It was for trims in the house. I got it from either the dollar store or Home Depot, one or the other. And I've had it for years, but I love it because it's so messed up that the bristles are kind of all over the place. And they no longer make a nice chiseled edge, so they are fantastic for foliage and grasses. So if you got one at home that's like that and you're thinking of throwing it out, don't. Keep it for this. They make fantastic foliage brushes. Now I'm just adding a little bit of a lighter color in the roadway here. That's what I do. As I experiment. I go back and forth in certain areas if I don't like it, or if I think, oh, it could use a little more light areas or dark shaded areas. I'll just go ahead and do it. That's the nice thing about acrylics, is you don't have to go from light to dark or dark to light. You could go either way, because it's so opaque and so versatile that you can put it on whenever you want, basically. Now there is a difference between artist grade acrylics and your craft paint. Craft paint is a lot more opaque, and there's nothing wrong with using craft paint. I use it all the time. I like using it in my journals when I'm painting and experimenting in my journals, because then it dries flat or matte, and you don't have to worry about it sticking to each other. Whereas if you were to use artist grade in your journals and then closed it, doesn't matter how long you've left it to dry before you close it, it's gonna stick to each other and it'll peel up. And believe me, I've done it. So that's why I use it in my journals, but a lot of people do use them for canvases too, because they prefer the opaque paint. Just put a finish on them and they're just as good as your artist grade, really. I've had some wood pieces that I've done that I've had out in the sun, and they've never faded, and they work just fine. So don't think you have to only put artist grade on a canvas. As far as acrylics, you can also use a craft paint. And I find too, if you're experimenting and learning, paint is I can't believe the price of artist grade paint. I went to buy some because I ran out. Oh my goodness, has it gone up in price? It's crazy. So, and I when I get artist grade, I usually get heavy bodied because I like to add mediums or water to my mixes. And wow, crazy prices. So if you're just learning, I would suggest using craft paint, and you'll learn just as much. The only difference is with craft and artist grade. Artist grade is a little bit transparent. Most of their colors are transparent, so they're great for glazing, But if you're just learning, you're not necessarily going to do a whole lot of glazing. You can still glaze with them, but it's a little more difficult. But I would suggest starting out that way, and then if you find you're going to really enjoy it, then invest in some nice quality artist grade. There's many different brands out there. I don't stick to just one brand. I also use like Liquitex, Golden, Amsterdam is a good one, Winsor & Newton. You know, there's many out there. They're all good. I haven't had a problem with any, really. So as you can see, I'm putting in a few rocks along the side, and the only thing you have to pay attention to is your light source. So wherever your light is shining down on, you have to pay attention to that as far as your rocks and that type of thing, because you want a shadow and a highlight, and you don't want to put those all over the place because it'll look funny. So the shadow, as you can see in the as soon as I move that, I'm mixing a bunch of paint there for leaves. Oh no, it's for the truck. So as you can see, there's shadows on those poles along the side of the road on the left side. So my light source or sun is coming from the right. So all my shadows will be on my left side, and that includes my rocks too. And your brightest highlights will be on your right side. And that goes with trees, leaves, that type of thing. So you're going to want to put your brightest leaves that are probably being hit by some sun. They might be a little yellowy green or maybe a soft yellow, depending on whatever color trees you're putting in. And they'll basically be on the top part of the tree. Now there will be little areas of the center of the trees, because you got to think of the tree as a shape. So it's 3D. It's a round a shape. So your sun's going to hit areas in the center of the tree, not necessarily meaning right in the center, but you're viewing it. The center of the tree is your closest leaves towards you, because that's your center point. And then as it goes around the tree, it goes further away. So you'll have areas in that center of the area that'll be a little lighter. It's perspective, and you have to kind of picture it in your head of the actual shape. And there's always, you know, little areas may not have tree leaves. It may be have deformed areas where pockets will cave in, and the tree branches might stick out further in certain areas, or might go in areas. So the more you look at trees, study them. They're really interesting, and study how the light catches the leaves, because all of the areas will have some shadow and some highlight, some more than areas, some less. You'll have probably darker colors in the bottom underneath area of the tree, because it's shadowed by the top part. So these are the things you have to really pay attention to if you want to do more of a realistic type of painting. Even Impressionism, that's one of the big factors of painting in that style, is because your shadows and highlights are what helps the mind connect what you're trying to show people. You're not giving all the information, all the detail, but the shadows and highlights are usually very prevalent. And that's what helps distinguish what it is. But you may not see the shapes of the leaves at all, but you see those highlights and your mind's eye automatically says, yes, that's a tree. So I'm basically just trying different things. I've done leaves and trees different ways, and by doing them more and more, you tend to experiment a little bit with each one by trying different techniques, or maybe using different colors that you haven't tried before. Or different brushes is another thing. So I'm just putting in the darker areas now, the tires, which would be shadowed. And I base coated the whole truck in one color. And this is kind of the inside of the truck. You just see a little bit of it shadowed. This is an older truck, so it's got those recessed panels on the tailgate. So it's all about the shadows and the highlights when it comes to the truck. This is the license plate area. So it's kind of the middle range of value for the license plate that I'm doing. And then I'll put a highlight and a shadow on. It's a little backup lights. And sometimes because it's further away, you're not going to get a lot of detail information. Your mind is telling you, yes, that's a backup light and it looks like this. But if you're only painting what you see, you have to ignore what your head's telling you, because you can't see the detail in that. So only paint what you see. So here I'm putting in just a smidgen darker of that color that I mixed up, and putting in a little bit of a darker, because remember the light is coming from the right side, so that left side of the truck will be a little bit shadowed. That's the tailgate. Yeah, the tailgate, you're going to see the spaces between the, when you open it, shut it, you'll see those cracks or spaces in between the side and the tailgate. And you just kind of have to pay attention to the reference photo. It gives a fair amount of information for you. I didn't put it all in because there was some very, very, very fine line work, and I decided to opt out in putting it all in. I put some of it in, but not all of it. And I think it turned out pretty good. So that's the old panels in the back of the tailgate. I don't know what kind of make this truck is. It could be a Ford, I don't know. I'm not a car and truck enthusiast. As long as it runs and gets me from point A to point B, that's all I care about. Now the one thing I did put in too is a little bit of shadowing in the road, because I wanted kind of to show that there's quite a few trees along the way, so you're going to see these different shadows along the roadway, and that will really also improve the look of your painting, is if you get those shadows in right. You're not necessarily seeing the object that's casting that shadow, but you're giving information that there must be trees along the side of the road. And there's that left side shadow for the trees. And quite a bright highlight there. On the right side, of course. Now, if you wanted to, you could put things in the back of the truck too. Something for that season, like maybe it'd be filled with pumpkins, or what are there? Corn stalks, that type of thing, or even a big bale of hay, or add to it if you want. You don't have to stick to what I've done here. That's the cool thing. Make it your own. When you see a reference, you have the composition, colors, and everything there for you, but that doesn't mean you have to stop there. You can add stuff to your composition. And if you're not sure how to draw it, then get another reference for just that one thing. And that'll help you paint and draw it. Still adding highlights. A lot of times too, you'll put in shadows and highlights, and then as you go along, you'll find that, oh, maybe that should be a little darker, or I need a little bit of a brighter highlight. And you can go ahead and do that. That's the nice thing about acrylics, is you can keep adding those highlights, and or maybe you want to take it down a notch, you could do that too. So I'm going to love having all of these little canvases, and I think they're an awesome way of putting them up on a wall on some kind of, I'm just going to get some kind of a little, I don't know, ledge of some sort. Not very wide, maybe 2 inches, that like with a groove in them or something. And I'm just going to lean them against the wall on this little shelf. And then you can look at them. Have them close to where you do your art, so you can look at them and be inspired by them. And maybe you'll look at them for the longest time and then decide, I want to do that again. Maybe I can do better. You know, we don't stay at where we are. We always are learning and improving as artists. And then maybe, depending on how many I do, I might start selling them. But I want to kind of admire them for a little while. And then I do get people asking if I would sell, and I have sold quite a few paintings in my day, but I think this batch I'm just going to keep for a little bit, and then closer to when I'm finishing, I'll decide and then just start selling them. These will be fairly easy to put in the post. They're only 5 by 5, so they're flat. So just put them in one of those hard cardboard packages and then just post them. It wouldn't cost a whole lot of money, because that is crazy, the price of postage. Alright, so I think I'm just about done, and I'll end up, this is a Posca, I'm using a black Posca, and I'm just doing some of the more finer details that the brush was unable to do, and just put a few of those in and sign it. Decided to use a little sepia. I think this is graph ink, so a little, not quite as dark. So you can use your Poscas, or if you have some kind of acrylic ink, or a dip pen even would work. I've done that. just experiment. Oh, this is Unipen. Now I do scribble it off on the side of my desk paper there. So I don't want to get too much acrylic on the nib, because it'll wreck your pen. So you just make sure you scribble off often if you're going to use your pen. But if you have ink and a dip pen, they're great. Yes, just adding a few other things I forgot about. Little touch-ups, that's what I normally do in the end. Is I might go for a coffee or maybe come back the next day. I take a look at it and then do little touch-ups here and there. And usually it's either a highlight or a shadow somewhere, or maybe I'll even add something totally different. I've done that. There I'm putting grasses in. It need to have even more. Sometimes if you're only using one type of texture in your field, it doesn't look real. So vary the textures. It makes a lot of difference. So sticks and little bush trees and grasses and weeds. There's large leaves, big leaves, small leaves. They all add to your painting. And different colors too. Don't stick with just one green. Vary it. Get into brownish greens and yellow greens and earthy colors is what I stick to with greens. I don't go too much into a blue green, more into your olives and into the yellows, golds, that type of thing. A little more realistic looking. This is fall too, so you'd have all kinds of dead grasses and weeds that are finished and they're seeding. So this one took probably an hour and a half, roughly. But I'm really enjoying doing these because I'm really pushing different subject matter that I would typically not do on YouTube. Because I feel rushed when I do it on YouTube, so I really am enjoying relaxing and taking my time, basically. Now this is sped up 2 times, so don't give yourself a time limit. I really do not believe in doing that. Take your time and enjoy what you're doing and study stuff. If you're not sure how to do whatever it is you're drawing, go and look it up, get some references for it, try different ways of painting it. That's what artists do, is they study and they investigate how and what to use. So these are very small canvases, so it's not going to take you a real long time to do it. Not a lot of product, and it's just your time and your studying of the topic. and learning by it. In the back, I would even put notes. If you want to really learn about, you did a certain technique and you really liked it, or you could say, I didn't like doing this, they'd be great for a reference for the future. So you could do these for that too. So there it is. And I'm just going to, I think I'm signing it now. Nope, I still see back and forth. Thought it needed a few more darker areas in the background there where the trees are. But it's almost done. A few more twigs because the leaves would have been, falling off, that type of thing. So I hope you'll give this a try and see what you learn. I would try and do it for at least a month and see the progress that you make. And even each one you're going to do, it gets easier. You could stick with a certain topic also if you don't want to skip back and forth in different topics. Maybe you only want to do landscapes. Maybe you only want to do tree landscapes, or maybe you want to do architecture or seascapes, boats, cars, animals, flowers, whatever it is that you're interested in. Make sure you're interested in it and you love it, and then you'll be happy to do it and be interested in coming back every day. So there it is. I think I'm finally done. I do go back and forth, but that's just me. That's what you do when you sit there and take your time and enjoy it and not feel rushed. So I hope you'll make sure to tag us on Instagram. I believe we said it's Kathy and Lena Challenge, it's called. So Kathy and Lena Challenge. And hashtag it, and we'll be able to see what you guys are doing. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below, and we'll get right back to you. And have a fantastic, creative day, everybody. And thanks so much for supporting our channels.